Okay, you guys, what is up? Fairy Tail chapter 269, I believe. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, look, all right. Despite all the beginning dialect or the dialogue with Mavis, that haunted explanation about the rules, and aside from the comedy scenes, when we finally get to the first event, which is hidden, things get very interesting between Gray and I believe his name is like Nerd Pudding or some shit like that, the guy from Raventail. Things get very, very interesting. And what happens is that in Hidden, basically the setup of Hidden, all right, the entire map setup is basically there is this pumpkin guy. Like I think he summons the city, or it might have been someone else. I'm not too sure. But a city comes out of nowhere, and then they need to go into the city, and then they need to find each other. But then what happens is that all of a sudden they're doppelgangers everywhere. I mean, like, they're everywhere. They're covering the streets, doppelgangers. And the goal of this hidden tournament is to basically find the real person amongst all the doppelgangers and get as many points as you can. Now what happens is that when you get hit, you lose a point, and then the person who hits you gains a point. And then what happens is that once you lose a point, you get transported to another location instantly. However, if you mistakenly hit one of the doppelgangers, then you also lose a point, and then you get instantly transported somewhere else. That is actually a very interesting way to do. I'm not Hiro. That is actually very interesting. See, I was wondering, like, how is this gonna play out? And I'm not gonna lie, Hiro, he did his homework. This is good. I'm actually very interested. This guy, Nerd Pudding, this motherfucker is crafty. He's a crafty little son of a bitch, right? It's always the little guys. It's always the little guys that are just so conniving and evil. And he's no exception to the rule. He is a fucking crafty motherfucker. So what happens is that Nerd Pudding basically manipulates Gray the first time around, and Gray does a cool move called Ice Hammer, which is kind of like a. It's not a mace. It's like kind of like a wrecking ball, but it's like with the same mace end. I forgot what they're called. It's like shit. It's like a chain spike ball thing, but only with ice. And he does that, and he attempts to hit Nerd Pudding, but it was a clone, and Nerd Pudding was behind the original. And Gray loses a point. Juvia also loses a point because she sees so many Grays. She attempts to hug one, and then no, that doesn't fly either. So fuck that shit. And then Gray, decides, I'm gonna play it low, lie low, and then try to find people by blending in the crowd. And all of a sudden, Nerd Pudding hits him again. I'm like, what the fuck was that, dude? And then his hand turns into like a mace spiked club thing. So, and then he just hits him. And then he's like, and then Gray turns around and is like, you target me again? He's like, of course. And I'm like, what the fuck, So I'm wondering how things are actually going to turn out between Gray and Nerd Pudding. Also, I want to know like what their true abilities are. I'm really excited for the battle. I want to see how these battles take place. I need to see how they take place, because if it's like all the teams, like team battles, then shit might get a little bit hectic. Also, I believe that because Mavis was going over how they can have substitutes. I'm not too sure, but apparently Wendy might come back into the fray. Maybe not. Who knows? But that being said, I mean, look, in my opinion, it shouldn't be Wendy. It should be someone else, someone better. There's always someone better than Wendy. I'm sorry, all right? She's a little kid. But that being said, very good. I mean, it was a solid chapter of Fairy Tail, but it was very, very interesting just to see how things play out. So that being said, King of Lightning, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.